Do a verbal roll call for the purpose of the minutes.
Thank you.
Russell Byerly, Chair.
Christy Evans, Vice Chair.
Umbrell at large.
Garcia at large.
Brandy Wilbur at large.
Fantastic. Next is the approval of the minutes for June 12th of this year. I'm sorry, no, I'm reading off the minutes. We're approving the minutes for July 10th, in which we approve the minutes for June 12th. I'll hear a motion to approve the minutes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the Gerlach Empire Citizens Advisory Board from July 10th, 2025.
Any public comment concerning the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
I seem to have skipped ahead a little bit. General public comment. Do we have any general public comment? Yep. Come on up, Carl.
I'll go back for the record. I noticed that the weeds were pulled over at the Royal Ambulance house, and I think I have the Washoe County Sheriff's Department to thank for that. I'd like to extend my thank you for the groundskeeping and landscaping efforts around town brought forth by your all offices. Thank you very much. That's a lot of work that was accomplished that we couldn't do locally, that deeply appreciated that we got the assistance with. Further, I'd like to re-extend our community's welcome to Royal Ambulance. We're really thrilled to have you up here, and best of luck through the event. Lastly, I wish to wish all the folks conducting business through this this season the best of luck with their enterprises, and express all the encouragement we can to patronize these establishments, and as well, good luck everyone enduring Burning Man. It's going to be unreal. Thank you.
Okay, now catching up with our agenda here. Another thing that I forgot to do is announce that we have a couple of new members. We have a new at-large. Oh, I'm sorry. You did. Oh, well, please comment publicly.
Hi, my name is Taylor Hubler. I'm a resident here in Gerlach. Just had a couple things I wanted to say. First of all, I wanted to thank our sheriff deputies. I also have noticed the highway patrol out there today and the last couple of days. I am the school bus driver for Gerlach K through 12. Last year, you guys did an amazing job of making sure that the traffic wasn't crazy or dangerous at all. There's a few times in the past driving during the week before and after Burning Man, where as a bus driver, I felt like it may have actually been unsafe to transport kids. But last year, for various circumstances, and I think the work that you guys put into it really helped make it feel a whole lot safer. And looking forward to continuing that relationship and seeing that happen for this year. And also welcome to my new neighbors. I've already said hi to a couple of them and got to know them. They're very good. The only other note that I would make as the school bus driver is the water trucks are filling up on the corner of Diablo and Cottonwood in such a way that it is blocking my route in the morning and the evening. I don't know if there's a solution for that. I can always be more patient if I have to, but they're fully parking in the road and not trying to get over enough, and there's not enough room for me to get my bus around them during the times that I'm running the route. So just wanted to bring that up in case there is something that can be done about that. Yeah, talk to me after the meeting and hopefully we can coordinate a little bit for the next week. And looking forward to continuing a great relationship that we have here. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further public comment? Wonderful. So as I was saying, we do have two new members. We have a new at-large member, Luis Garcia, and we have a new alternate, Carl Kopek. Welcome aboard. Next, we have public safety updates. Would anyone like to give us an update from the sheriff's office or from Royal Ambulance in no particular order?
Good evening, everyone. Deputy Cruz from the Sheriff's Office. Good to see you all. So far, so good. It's been smooth in town. I've been approached by a couple locals who thanked me for being where I was at that moment, keeping an eye on traffic. That said, it's hard to be in all those places at once. So doing my best, but we'll have more people coming into town the next few days or so, certainly by Wednesday. As always, I'm always available for questions now or afterward. That's about all I got. And joining us is Captain Venn from the Sheriff's Office. Take it away.
Good evening, Andy Venn, Captain, Washoe County Sheriff's Office, for the record. First of all, I want to let you know that the work going into Burning Man is ongoing, and the attention, you don't always get to see it because it's behind the scenes down in Reno, but Sergeant Miller, who's going to be out here with his team of 6, they put a lot of thought into it and a lot of planning to get their trailers out here. They're looking forward to it. They have a plan in place and they're like excited to come out and be part of it. So want you know, you're not forgotten about. We don't get out here enough above the rank of the deputies that are out here. So I wanted to personally come out and let you know that we are thinking about the residents out here. You are important to us. And if you need anything, you can go through your deputies and let us know. On a personal note, I'm retiring in January after 20 plus years. And I wanted to come out to, I haven't been out here about 12 years. So I wanted to come out personally and tell you that the way you've treated our deputies over the last 20 years I've been with the sheriff's office and the relationship I've seen between our staff and the residents out here has been really amazing. It's one of my favorites to hear the stories of the deputies that are out here, the relationships they build, and the way that we really do get to do the community policing that I wish we can do in every area in the county. We don't get this chance in the more congested areas. So thank you for the way that you accommodate them, the way you treat them, and the relationship they've had. It means a lot to us down at the sheriff's office that have been around. We get to see the result of what positive policing does. If there's any questions, I know it's a comment, but if there's any questions about Burning Man or the sheriff's office in general, I can field them now, or you can field them through the deputy to me, and I can respond by email.
Do we have any member questions?
I sure do. Thank you for being here, by the way, and giving us the update. Can you tell us the dates that the other team is going to be out here for Burning Man?
Absolutely. The setup day is going to be Wednesday, August 20th. I'm sorry, August. Yeah, that's their travel and setup day. They're coming out August 20th. Starting the 21st, they're going to be working from noon until midnight daily, and they're going to be available for call out from midnight to 12 p.m. daily. Their last day of ending the on-call will be September 2nd, and the last shift out here will be the day of September 2nd. September 3rd will be the travel day where they pack up and head back in. You're going to have 2 K9s, 4 motors, and 1 sergeant. They're going to have 3 teams of 2 and the sergeant that's on here. That's not counting our 2 residents. They'll also be here. The primary mission that, as expressed to me by Sergeant Miller, who's going to be leading the team, is to ensure smooth ingress and egress through the town of Gerlach, Empire, and the surrounding area. We'll be conducting traffic enforcement and area checks throughout the area. The way it was explained to me is their emphasis out here is mainly to make sure that the residents of Gerlach are safe and that the traffic through your town is and disturbances are kept to a minimum, more than actual what's going on in the playa. I transferred from the jail just a couple months ago. So this is my first time as a captain while Burning Man's going on in the patrol function. So I'm not an expert on it by far. So I rely on my guys that have done it before and rely on their experience. Sergeant Miller, I believe, was out here last year. I'd say he's a bald guy with a beard, but that narrows down half the sheriff's office. So does that answer the question? And I can leave these notes with my dep to give to you after if you.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. I will say that, and I know that our local wonderful deputies know our concerns, but the unsafe driving practices is probably my biggest complaint. I know it is hard with that many vehicles to control them all, but you know, the semis blowing down our main street and people, they're so eager to get there, they're just not even aware. So the sort of traffic safety is a huge thing. You know, we occasionally have, you know, people trying to steal water and things like that, but that's, you know, a few here and there, and if we catch them, great, and if not, but it's that traffic, man. That's the
Well, the leader that's coming out, Sergeant Miller, is our motor sergeant. And if you know anything about law enforcement, motors and troopers they're all about traffic. That's what gets them going.
right on.
So they're going to be hitting it pretty hard.
Fantastic. Well, we look forward to having them. Thank
you.
you.
I appreciate it.
Are there any more questions from the members? No, from the public? Any questions? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
My presentation this evening is shorter than it was last time, but good evening, everyone. John Rayhausen with Royal Ambulance. There's a way that I can be able to present. I'm logged in.
Are you logged into the meeting?
Yes, I am.
Can you promote him to panelist, Candy?
Yes, that might take me 1 second. I have to de-promote someone. Let me do that. Okay, you should be good to do it.
Great. Just send a request to share.
You should have permission. Okay.
Love it when technology doesn't work with us. There we go. Well, good evening again. Hope to just offer a few updates on our first 6 weeks here in Gerlach. So to date, we were in service 27 out of the 31 days in July, which we're quite proud of, especially considering we had 17 days of go live notice. Thus far in August, we've been in service 100% of the time, so we've not had any out of service time in Gerlach. We currently have three full-time paramedics hired, 2 full-time EMTs hired, and 2 part-time EMTs hired as well right now. So with that, we've been able to maintain effective staffing without incident. By the numbers, we've had 20 incidents so far in the past 6 weeks. That's resulted in 8 treat and releases. And I think this number is probably particularly notable because these are patients where our crews were able to actually treat on scene, provide some level of medical care and support to, and not have to transport them all the way down to Reno. So very proud of the fact that we've been able to effectively manage a number of these patients in the community. We've done 6 ground transports down to area hospitals, 2 air transports, 1 call that we weren't able to locate the patient, and canceled on 3 other responses. Real briefly, by way of introduction, our full-time paramedics are Keith, who's here with us today. Corey, who joins us previously from Tonopah, bunch of experience as a rural paramedic. Monica, who joins us from Reno, has been a paramedic for over 20 years. And then our EMTs are Robbie, Marlon, who's here with us today, James, and Lucas. So when you see them out in the community, please say hello. Do want to take a brief moment to talk about Burning Man season, because I know that's on everyone's mind right now, especially from a public safety and emergency response standpoint. You know, as I've reiterated really over the past several months, these are two fully separate and distinct operations. So our priority for Gerlach and our priority for Washoe County is to maintain the efficacy and the operational readiness of our Gerlach EMS operation, ensuring that we provide 24/7 ALS care in the region. We have been working with Pyramid Lake Fire Rescue and the Washoe County Sheriff's Office to support coordinated emergency response in the region, recognizing that we are anticipating an uptick in call volume, and we are continued to be fully committed to a timely response in all services. On the ambulance front, the Gerlach ambulances, the red one and the white one, are being inspected tomorrow by the state. We really did a complete interior supply overhaul of both of those vehicles, all new medical equipment, all new cardiac monitors, and have them all ready to go for state inspections tomorrow. And then at that time, we'll transition to operations in those physical ambulances, and you will likely no longer see purple ambulances in Gerlach, although we do love our purple at Royal. We are going to retain the existing look and feel of the ambulances right now. Certainly, if there's community desire for us to change that in the future, don't anticipate any challenges doing that. But we will add our Royal Ambulance Nevada logo that's on my shirt and our uniform shirts here, just to both sides of those ambulances. With that, that's all I got. Want to offer a brief update. If you see me around, please say hello. You may see my white towel in town because I am hoping to get some off time and take a shower or two as well. So, all right.
Well, I
Any
have a
questions?
question first. Yes, when we had spoken previously, you said that in previous Burning Man seasons, there has been an attempt to upstaff this station,
Yes.
and that there's no plan to do that this year. Is that right?
Not on our end, no. There have been conversations about that. I think part of the discussion with Pyramid Lake has been perhaps transferring patients midway down 447 at mile marker 44. So when possible, I think that's a good solution that then enables us to get our ambulance back into the community faster.
Mhm. And also, you said these are separate operations.
Yeah.
The event support and also the Gerlach support.
Yeah.
So you're not going to be transferring, because previous years, Royal would transport patients to the pavement and then they'd hand them off to another. So you're not going to be transporting patients off Playa. They're going to be taking them all the way into Reno.
Yes. So when we transport a patient out of Burning Man, our crew from the Burning Man site will do that transport all the way down to Reno or to wherever their final destination is. Last year, we did partner with Pyramid Lake Fire. Burning Man partnered with Pyramid Lake Fire to utilize them for transporting some psychiatric patients. So those patients were handed off, and that was, I believe, 3 or 4 patients. And this year, we're going to be able to do those with our assets.
Wonderful. Thank you. Christy?
So just to kind of dovetail on that. So when you talk about Burning Man operations being separate, you're talking about like actually on Playa operations, right?
Yes, correct.
As the separate
Correct.
entity. So of course, with all of the traffic and people in town and on these roads, there is, of course, a huge uptick in calls, not on the Playa, but in the highways and surrounding areas. So is the Gerlach group going to be responding to those?
The Gerlach crew will not be responding to incidents on Playa at Burning Man unless our ambulances aren't available. That operation technically doesn't go live until August 19th, but certainly they'll respond to any other incident in the region that. Yeah.
But so normally what happens is the Gerlach station gets upstaffed during Burning Man just because the number of calls goes up. And I'm not talking about Playa, I'm talking about around town, the roads, the traffic accidents, that kind of stuff. So if I understand correctly, there's not going to be more staff at the Gerlach station, and it's going to be those staff that are going to be responding to that increase in calls.
Yes. And last year it looked like that was about 20 calls in total during about a 2.5-week period. We know that at least 4 of those were related to transfers off Playa, where Royal transferred patients to that unit. So we're anticipating it's roughly a little over a call a day. And once again, I think by trying to transfer patients when possible at mile marker 44, that really turns a 4 to 5 hour trip down to Reno into an hour experience.
Right. Okay, fantastic. And then this is sort of a general question, maybe
Yeah.
you, maybe the sheriff offices, maybe Russell knows. So if I understand correctly, we have the ambulance, obviously ALS service here. What we don't have is fire service. Is that correct? I mean, we have our volunteer fire department, but we don't have a responding fire service 24/7.
Well, we're not agendized to discuss that. So, I mean, yes, that's correct, but, you know, we can't really do anything.
No, I'm not.
Deliberation.
I don't want to deliberate it. I just want to establish, I just want to be clear that for things like fires and vehicle accidents that need extraction and whatever, we are still relying on mutual aid services to support that, which is largely either Pyramid Lake,
That
or
is
Lion, or Truckee Meadows, correct?
that is correct.
Perfect. That was all I just want to establish,
That's
that
correct.
is in fact what's still going on.
That is correct.
Amazing. Okay, thank you.
More questions from members? Shotzi.
Yes, having noticed the amount of traffic incidences in town, I have known years where the fire department was extremely busy with ambulances because of some ruckuses. Has anybody established an emergency plan in case we have like a mass casualty, something happens like that? Do you guys have a call out system ready? Anybody prepared for this? Crazy.
So we have been working to coordinate with both the Washoe County Sheriff's Office and Burning Man around what that would look like. Certainly there are other assets in the region. Our Burning Man assets are dedicated to Burning Man, just like our Gerlach assets are dedicated to Gerlach. Obviously in an MCI, we would hope that we'd have some degree of operational latitude there if there was a true, completely unexpected disaster.
Gerlach doesn't throw this 70,000 person party. Burning Man throws his party.
Absolutely.
Do you have a comment to add to that question?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, no,
Yep.
come on up.
In direct answer to your question, there was a tabletop exercise that was conducted at the Reno Emergency Operations Center in which all security forces involved in Burning Man, the Washoe County Sheriff's offices, and all law enforcement in the region tabletopped a mass casualty or active shooter incident. And you have some ex-military, ex-special forces, ex-20-year police officers that were involved in that. So the planning for their emergency operations, I was pretty impressed with their operations in totality for that type of incident.
Any other questions I can answer on the EMS side?
Luis.
Well, first off, thank you to you guys and your team. You guys have really done a great job. I get to eat lunch with your paramedics and EMTs every day, and they're great people. So thank you for that. But my favorite topic when it comes to EMTs and paramedics and Burning Man, have we figured out where that helicopter's landing?
So that Burning Man took operational control over contracting that aircraft this year in terms of where that's going to land. I'm not prepared to speak. I'm not prepared to speak to that. My understanding is it will be just outside of town, but it is not where my understanding is that it is not where it will be landing last year. But really not prepared to speak to that in detail.
Awesome. Thank you. If it's going to be outside of town, that's the best news I've gotten all day.
All right. Thank you very much.
Chris, you had something to add?
Just to let you know, Burning Man was at the GID meeting and announced the location of that, which they say is going to be just outside of town on that. I believe it's the county property there, kind of near the BLM thing.
Any questions from the public?
Chair Byerly, you do have one person online with their hand raised.
We do.
Pete
Wonderful.
Dronker.
We will take a question from the internet.
Hi, Pete Dronkers, Burning Man Project. I just wanted to confirm what was said about the landing zone. It's just about a half mile or so northwest of town on the west side of 34 on a county-owned property. So that's all I had.
Thank you. All right, if there are no further questions, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have Lieutenant Jenkins to talk to us a little bit about the license plate reader program in Gerlach. Is he still with us?
He is. I have to demote John Ray and then promote him. So that might take me just one quick second. Sorry. I'll work it here. Okay, Lieutenant Jenkins has been promoted to be a panelist, so he should be able to speak now.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good afternoon, and I appreciate your time. My name is Lieutenant Joshua Jenkins. I'm with the Washoe County Sheriff's Office, and currently I am working as the Director of the Northern Nevada Regional Intelligence Center. I'm speaking to you today about the real-time intelligence center that we're standing up at the Washoe County Sheriff's Office and how that kind of impacts and benefits and otherwise affects the community, specifically Gerlach. Before I get started, are you guys able to see my screen? Or I'm sorry, do you guys have a screen there that you can view this at the meeting hall?
Are you trying to share your screen?
Sharing now. There we go.
Wonderful.
All right, perfect. All right, so a real-time platform, it's basically a snapshot of a geographic area. This right now is a real-time platform presentation of the kind of the metro area, Reno, Sparks, unincorporated Washoe County to south of Gerlach. What this does is it allows us to see active calls for service as they come in, overlaid with where our units are currently deployed or they're out on calls at, as well as traffic patterns and basically any other digital data. It is a kind of a one single snapshot of what's going on in an area. We do bring cameras into that, and that allows us, so if we have and I try to use landmarks you guys might know. So if Bruno's was a part of this program and Bruno's had cameras and they wanted to share the cameras with us, if we had an incident at Bruno's all the way from Reno in my center, I could pull up a video of Bruno's on the exterior and figure out what was going on there. Where that comes into play for a place like Gerlach is sometimes the guys are way far north and first responding units an hour out, and information is going to be key to the first responding units there, as well as the guys coming back from the north. And could you guys see the map here?
Yes.
Okay.
Go full screen.
So sorry, every time I go full screen, it eats that, but we can do that. Go. That work?
Better.
Okay. So the platform we're using is called Fusus. It's an Axon-owned platform, and it allows integration of data points. We can integrate private and government-owned camera systems, gunshot detection technology, traffic patterns, license plate reader technology, weather patterns, and intelligence platforms. And we could pull all that up from this one single platform that I just showed you before. Down in Reno, if a gunshot goes off anywhere within the detection zone, I get a notification. There's been a gunshot detected, and then I can start coordinating units that are nearby, or if there's units farther out, we can pull cameras and see what do we see in that area. Do we have an active shooter? Do we have just somebody target practice? That kind of thing. License plate reader technology feeds into that, and what that will do for us is if we have license plates that are listed as stolen or belonging to registered sex offenders that have been entered in who have a mandate to enter their plates in, or if we have known terrorist subjects that have been identified through national security, they enter those plates in. The license plate readers will get those hits and let us know that that person has passed the license plate reader with an alert. Now, an alert doesn't automatically mean that there's action taken because we get hits all the time, and it turns out that the car has been sold. You know, we do some research before we deploy on that. Weather patterns for Gerlach. I like to use the fire example down here. This platform, when we just recently had a fire down a Peavine, you're able to actually pull the map up and see where, you know, which way the wind is shifting, which way the smoke is blowing. So you can kind of use this in the future to plan evacuation strategies. So the camera system, and was the version 1.0, you can actually see Gerlach on there. So we have purchased approximately 120 cameras for deployment in the greater Washoe County region. We have 3 slotted for Gerlach. Initially, that we were going to try and do a set of license plate readers just to the south and east of Gerlach, and then one at the substation. The license plate readers were going to be southeast, and the one at the substation is a lifetime camera. The reason for that would be infrastructure protection and as well as officer safety, because we do have a deputy out there by themselves. And if something happens at the sub, we need to know what's going on, because there's nobody else that we can call on the radio readily to see what's going on. And the drone is a first responder program that doesn't really apply to Gerlach at this time. We don't have any plans in the immediate future to deploy any kind of DFR technology out that far north, just because of signal and calls for service. I know that in the future, that may be something they look at, but right now, that's something that we're deploying down in the greater Washoe County area. All right. And that's pretty much the presentation on that side of it. So I wanted to talk to you guys about the license plate readers. First off, I do owe you an apology. The vendor that installed the device down in town, there was a third-party installer that came out. He had about 20 to do. He had a list. He went off of the old map, not the new map, and he installed prior to us talking. He was supposed to apply or install that at the Washoe County Park. So I truly do apologize. There was no attempt to circumvent. The camera system has not been active since it's been installed and since we've spoken pending this meeting. License plate reader technology is kind of a hot button topic. It is incredibly useful in an area like Gerlach to deploy this tech. And I'm not talking about for the event coming up. It is a useful tool year round. So Gerlach is the consistently tied for calls for service with Peavine for search and rescue. The difference with Peavine is a very condensed area. When we have overdue hunters, and we get overdue hunter calls probably every couple weeks, and what we get is, you know, my husband and my son, or my boyfriend and his buddy, they went hunting, you know, they're up north. This license plate reader at this location would drastically improve our ability to assess, is that vehicle in fact overdue? Did it go north and not come south? Kind of narrowing our search field, if that makes sense. Also, I will tell you that the remoteness of Gerlach and the lack of information on the ground, one of the worst calls for service I ever responded to was, I don't know if any of you there when Deputy Bunyard was up there. I was working the night. He got into a 1078 in Gerlach, and for those of you who know, that's an officer needs immediate assistance. Cole was by himself. It was about 5 o'clock in the morning, and he called out on the radio. He was on a traffic stop, and that was the last any of us heard for about 45 minutes until he was able to get back on the radio and say, I've been in a fight. He was injured. His dog had ultimately been able to save him. But for 45 minutes, we had no information on who he was dealing with, what the circumstances were, what his status was. Now, the location of that fight is actually about 15 yards from where we have this license plate reader slotted to go, if you guys approve it for the water tank park deployment. That license plate reader in Cole's case would have been able to alert us down here to pull up images. This is what's going on the ground as we see it. You guys have had a rash of bergs. A lot of them have happened over in Fish Springs. They have come through Gerlach. A couple of the biggest bergs I've worked have been actually one in the town of Gerlach, the house about a block away from the sub, and then the other one out on Smoke Creek Canyon. This license plate reader, because of the lack of manpower that we have out there, would greatly aid in those investigations. For data retention, the big hot button topic is how long are we keeping the information? So license plate readers that we use do not have any sort of facial rec. They do not capture images of people. It is only a car. It will capture an image of a car that doesn't have a license plate, but if it captures a license plate or a vehicle, the system will only allow retention for 30 days unless it is linked to a criminal offense, in which case that image is stored in an evidence vault. After 30 days, all footage is purged. We don't have a way to override that, nor do we want to. Our big desire here is to respect privacy while weighing that with community safety and crime prevention. Do you have any questions on that?
Yeah, I have a question. This information is shared with other entities, other law enforcement and intelligence entities. Is that right?
It is, it is, but it is limited on who we share it with. One of our policies is these license plate readers may not be used for administrative functions, so we will not share with Nevada DMV because we don't want license plate readers we're putting out there for public safety being utilized for basic civil infractions. I mean, these are criminal in nature. So people are concerned that we're going to use this to tag people for suspended registration. And some people want us to, but the reality is we're not going to be doing that. We're not sharing our information with everybody. We're very selective on who we share it with.
Mhm. Well, I've noticed some of the other agencies that have this type of technology in the field, they have transparency portals online where you can go and see a list of all of the agencies they share this information with, exactly what type of information is captured, specifically what type of information is not captured, like the facial recognition you mentioned, how long it's retained and what's done with it. Do you have one of those? Do you have something like that?
So we're in the final stages of rollout for our transparency portal for this program. So you will have all of that ability. In addition to that, the center down here is going to be very transparent. Once we're open, we're going to be like, we're not trying to hide anything. Community members are allowed to come in and view it. There's not top secret stuff, and we're not going to try and hide behind a cloak of secrecy. We want the public to know what we're doing because I truly believe if we're not transparent as much as we can be, like to a fault, people won't trust us with what we're doing.
So the camera in the park has to be approved by the GID board.
Yes.
This is the cab board.
Yes.
So we can't approve that. You have to ask the
Yes.
GID. Their next meeting is in, I think, 2 months. They don't have a September meeting. Because the park belongs to the GID, the Water Tower Park. It doesn't belong to Washoe County Parks. So I'm sorry, I had a question in chambers. I don't know if you heard that on the mic.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So we don't have the authority to,
Okay,
to
that's
yes or
fine.
no this question. But I appreciate you taking the time to come up here and tell us how this sort of thing works. And I'm sure we have lots of other questions in the room. Do we have any other questions from members? Christy?
Hi, Christy Evans for the record. First, I want to say thank you so much for coming to the meeting tonight to explain this. That's super valuable. I had no idea how this works or what this was. So super appreciate you being here. Just so I understand, that is a license plate reader a different piece of technology than the camera?
So all license plate readers are cameras. What they have is their software is designed to detect license plates, and they use AI to do that. So they can identify cars by make and model, but they hone in on the license plate. Our license plate readers are not designed, nor do they have the capability of zooming in and capturing images of people. But yeah, it is a camera, but it is a camera with advanced software, I guess.
Got it. So if we have the license plate reader, just kind of thinking about the examples you were mentioning of, you have a solo officer up here and you're kind of wondering, like, there's a scuffle at Bruno's, what's going on? So you can't use this camera to actually see what's going on Main Street?
So if there is a license plate if there's a license plate on the camera, like in the case of the deputy who got in the scuffle up there, we would be able to pull it up and say, we could pull still images of the license plate that's captured there. At the very least, we're going to get a make and model of car. If they're outside of the car, it will capture that. And in this case, the fight happened outside of the car.
So the license plate reader camera could be utilized as a tool to also see kind of the periphery of what might be
Yeah.
happening. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. And you mentioned there's three, if three allocated to Gerlach, and I assume the intent would be to really be focused on the one main street going through town. So in other words, if somebody goes out Smoke Creek, obviously that's not going to capture them, but if they happen to go through the downtown corridor of Gerlach, then you would be able to know.
Yeah, so if they go north or south through town, it would capture. We have been trying to get a smoke or Fish Springs has been such a problem for birds. I really do feel for the people that live out there. It seems like it's just an ongoing issue. We looked heavily at deploying this tech out there to combat that problem and kind of bring some peace to those folks. Unfortunately, due to these cameras are cellular based, they can't get that far out and have a reliable service. So we're trying to find some other way to get those people help out there, like a permanent solution. So there's something out there to help them. If it's not a license plate reader or camera, it's something else that we can do to.
Right. Gotcha. And there wouldn't be anything then north of Gerlach, correct?
No, the tech is completely based on cell service.
Gotcha. I'm just curious. So we're not the GID board, but I'm curious why you would want to put it at the park when the substation is right there at the corner. Could you not put it at the substation?
So the substation is too far back off the road. I mean, there's a kind of a geometry math element to it where you have to, the angle to the car, to the license plate has to be big or has to be a certain degree. Otherwise, you're just getting the side of cars as they go by, and that's not, and the AI is not set up for that.
Roger that. Awesome. Thank you. That was all I had.
Shotzi?
Okay, thanks for being here. Okay, you said you wanted three, so one north, one south, and one at the park, right?
So two at the park, one facing north, one facing south, and then one at the substation.
All right, that curve in the road going north from Gerlach, if they turned down Diablo and swung around the back, and the curve down in front of Skiki's house, you'd never even know they came into town.
Correct.
So why are they not at the ends of my town so we know who's going through my town? One up by the railroad tracks and one on the other way. I know you said cell phone signal. We got cell in both places.
So the or the railroads have been they don't want deployment of this on their property. I will tell you the reason the park was initially picked was because Washoe County Parks granted permission to it and said it was their park to grant permission for. So I know. And that it was just a misunderstanding. She meant no ill will. I truly believe she knew. I thought it was. I saw the sign and I thought it was a Washoe County Park. So I don't get up there very often. I just go through when I'm going hunting. So so that was the reason that original location was picked. If there, we've been kind of looking at other locations would work. We run into on the north side of town, looking at the properties, we try to keep them off of like private property or private properties owned by like individuals. Like if there's something owned by a GID, that's one thing. We don't want to put individuals in the position of, not everybody loves this technology and we don't, and the world,
Retaliation would be
yeah,
bad.
and
But
so we try,
GGID owns a property on the north of town and GGID owns a property on the south of town.
right.
So that would cover both entrances to this town. Actually, the only two entrances to this town, unless you have a really good dirt bike and come by the sewer.
Yeah, we could have,
So you could possibly talk to them about those APNs. One we call the airport property and one we're calling a possible park. Because Washoe County gave up owning any of our parks here years ago.
okay.
If I can, Russell Byerly again for the record, if I can interject at that point, the GID, just to manage your expectations, they may be reluctant to approve this type of installation because they have been involved in a number of lawsuits the last few years about exactly what they have the authority to do on their properties. So if they think, this might be stretching what a GID can do in Nevada under NRS 318, they might get cold feet about that. Just so you know. But I actually have another question. I'm sorry, I forgot when it was my turn earlier. When I got the dig ticket for the reader that was mistakenly installed on Aspen Street, I saw that I did some light to moderate cyber stalking of the contractor Flock Safety. And I saw that this technology, they're really very proud of its ability, not just to read plates, but also to identify cars by damage or modifications or bumper stickers, that sort of thing. And my question is, would you be able to use, and it outputs those into like a spreadsheet format, right? It doesn't necessarily take pictures of everything. So could you search that spreadsheet for like a specific bumper sticker, if that's all you had as a description for a suspect vehicle?
So you can search for bumper sticker. So if I say, looking for a 1988 Ford F-250 with a bumper sticker, it'll show me or I'm sorry, Ford F-250 with a bumper sticker, black. It'll show me all the black Ford F-250 with a bumper sticker. As far as getting down to like what the bumper sticker says, no.
And also modifications, like you can see whether it has a camper shell, that sort of thing, to narrow your
So,
search.
Yeah, the modifications are they're not very vast. I think it's camper shell, lumber rack, sunroof. There's like 5 criteria, and all of them are not. I mean, they're not real discerning.
Right. Yeah, that's what I suspected. It seems like it's mostly marketing, that capability, like all things AI these days. Do
So
we have any?
Yeah, so the tech we have is we've used it down here. We've used it with the AI to let you know how like the modifications things work. We had a burglary at a convenience store on Mount Rose Highway. We were able to use the AI to say, we're looking for a silver Chevy truck with a ladder rack. I mean, because we didn't get a license plate on it, that's all we had. We knew it was a silver Chevy truck with a ladder rack. It was a very distinct truck. We had a picture of the truck from the burglary book. So we were able to use that. It took about 4 minutes to marry that up with an actual license plate reader scan of the truck that had been involved in the burglary.
I apologize. I interrupted Shotzi. I didn't realize you weren't finished.
And my following one was, you listed off a lot of things that were on there. Is Amber Alert one of your concerns?
Amber Alert is a hit that's on there.
Outstanding.
Amber Alert, NCMEC, the automatic alerts are the ones that the same as our deputies get in the patrol cars with their license.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. And can I get a copy of that slide you kept flashing through the No Kings Day? Because this recognition software that's coming out in the current state of the world, I'm a little concerned about what that is because I could not read fast enough.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. This is a presentation.
What was its purpose?
Oh, yes. I'm happy to share this purpose. Actually, let me close that out so I can share this first, and then I will share it, or do that. Okay. All right. So this slide pertains more to the real-time crime center, not the license plate readers, and the use of camera technology to avoid escalating crowds that are involved in lawful activities. Now, with everything going on the West Coast, there was a real concern about a month ago, or I guess it would be 2 months ago now, with the No Kings Day, because California had
Be
suffered.
closer to the mic, please.
All right, can you hear me now? Good. So there was a concern after all the kind of the protesting in Southern California when I believe it was the ICE, or it started with ICE, and then there was a couple other topics, and then we were starting to see violence unfold. There was a concern with No Kings Day in Reno because of the scope of it, that it was going to spread. But the wish of the Washoe County Sheriff's Office, Reno PD, Sparks, was not to create an overwhelming response to that. We didn't want to do a show of force while still maintaining community safety. So again, weighing that the public need, or the need for public safety, weighing against privacy. And we have, in the past, what these kind of protests would do is we would have a bunch of officers staged in the area, and that can almost have, I mean, for the protesters, that can have kind of an antagonistic event. We know that during these events, there are actors that come in from out of the area that they will sometimes animate or antagonize, escalate the crowd. So we just want to make sure that we're kind of weighing the protection of First Amendment by not interfering with the protest with the need to make sure that it's not getting out of hand as it was just across the border in California. So that brings us to the No Kings Day. And this was kind of the first real test of this software, and it worked out beautifully. So during the No Kings protest, there was no marked uniform presence in the crowd. There was the patrol cars weren't lined up. The marked units were not kind of escalating the situation or getting people's anxiety up. They were nowhere to be seen. They were safely out of the area, leaving the protesters to enjoy and exercise their First Amendment rights. We utilized this platform with cameras that were readily identifiable. They were marked police. They were parked on the other side of the street. And this allowed us to monitor the event, monitor the traffic, make sure that there was actually several medical calls for service. We were able to guide medical in without flooding the crowd with marked police officers. Does that make sense? And from that, we were able to identify people. Like I said, there is always going to be people that have come to town, maybe not for the best of reasons. So the event was actually, my mom was at one of these. She really enjoyed it. But the event here was very peaceful. It was very cool to see all these people out here doing this. And it was a very peaceful event. There was no issues whatsoever. The people that had been identified as being from out of town were actually the event themselves kind of ran them off. They didn't even require any, there was no arrest, there was no confrontation. And this is what the event looked like from the center platform, the picture to the left. This was one of the people that had come to town that we had seen him at a couple other ones we knew, or a couple other protests earlier. We knew that he was an agitator, but even he didn't, everything was very peaceful. It was a very cool event.
Well, thank you.
Questions on that?
Any questions from the audience?
Hi, Margie Reynolds for the record. I have two questions. One, when you go through town, it splits to 447 and 34. There's a whole lot of country up there.
Yes.
So knowing which direction someone who later shows up lost has gone might be beneficial to know if they turned left at the split or right. If you put one on 447, then maybe you could use the process of elimination after the Y. So just wanted to point that out.
Yes. The reason, so if it doesn't take far for the needs of our cellular needs talking to our vendor, it's not far out of Gerlach that we start losing the ability to use the system. And it's not like miles, it's like hundreds of yards. So, because it's not just broadcasting the license plates, it's the data that's associated with that. So it requires a stronger signal.
And they don't have that at the BLM building up there that they could maybe tap into? I don't know. I'm just, yeah, we don't know. Okay. The second thing I wanted to talk about is you mentioned that the records preserve people's privacy, the DMV. And I'm curious if that DMV privacy could ever perhaps be overridden and maybe used so it won't ever be given to the federal government if for some reason they wanted to track people down by numbers. I'm just suggesting ICE, not like that's even an issue in this area, but I'm just curious for people that it might affect.
So the federal agencies have their own license plate network. They are not part of FLOC. Before we share anything, there has been a few agencies that are like the DMV, for example, like that's a Nevada state agency. And we declined their request for our license plate reader based upon certain criteria. Like we have in the policy that's going up with the center, there will be like, you can't use this for administrative function, which means unless it's criminal in nature, they can't use it to see if somebody's been driving their unregistered RV for the last couple of years. I understand that's a want they have, but that's not something that we're prepared to do because a lot of people are worried about that. Like this is not used to catch speeders. It's not used to catch people with one headlight. Now, as far as immigration, we have not at the sheriff's office crossed that bridge yet. If we're going, to do that. It is something I could bring up to the sheriff. That is a decision way above my head. I know that the nationally, it kind of goes both ways. To use the license plate readers in California, we can't even access license plate readers in California for that purpose. Illinois makes us sign an agreement that we won't use it for certain offenses, and immigration being one of those, or any protected class. We're kind of figuring out with our sheriff, and he's going to be talking to legal, figuring out which way he's going to go on that. But that is a policy decision that's above my ability to speak to here.
Okay, thanks. And you also answered another question, which is the burners with bikes that are obscuring their registration might appreciate knowing that they're okay.
Yeah, we're not worried about registration with this.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep.
Any more questions from the audience? Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much for calling in.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Candy. Is Brian Beffert still with us?
He is. I'm going to promote him to be a co-host so that he can unmute himself and share his screen.
Fantastic. Brian's joining us seeking community input on microgrid fundraising.
And he has just been promoted, so he should be able to help now.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hello, Brian. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for this meeting and for this opportunity to speak with you. For the record, my name is Brian Beffert, Sustainability Manager for Washoe County. Continuing conversation about fundraising and trying to pay for the microgrid and other energy upgrades in Gerlach. This is the continuation of a conversation we had with the GID last week, a couple weeks ago. And as I mentioned earlier in an email to some of you.
We just lost your audio there, Brian. Hang on. We can hear you, but you suddenly became very faint.
Ooh, I can put on a headset. Would that work? Testing, testing. Can you hear me?
Yes, you sound great.
Okay, great. Thank you. Talking about fundraising for a microgrid in Gerlach. Earlier today with some of you, I shared an update. I will be happy to forward that update to everyone on the committee and make it part of the minutes. But as I mentioned, establishing a charitable fund with the Community Foundation of Northern Nevada will take longer than we have time for. So I would like to give kudos to the Gerlach GID and Gerlach seniors for teaming up to launch a GoFundMe campaign. And I have screen share. So there's a GoFundMe campaign up, ready to take your donations and the donations of anyone else who scans a QR code or finds the URL to donate. Now you're going to see my notes. Sorry about that. And in addition, I have drafted a few signs to print, and the goal is to put them up wherever people are interested in town to attract donations. And there are several signs available. We can print all, we can print one, we can make more. It's pretty easy to do. So I'm happy to work with anyone here who's interested to print some signs out and bring them up to town. I am planning to be in Gerlach on August 22nd. However, if someone is coming to Reno before then and we can get the signs printed, I would imagine we can. Happy to hand them over and people can hand them out. Christy, you and I had a brief conversation about maybe a banner for an appropriate location at a local pizza joint. Happy to do that. Happy to talk about that and make that happen. Again, I think the numbers are seductive. If every participant at Burning Man donated $1, we would have enough to build a microgrid on the community center. So we'll see how things do over the coming weeks. Let me see if I have any other. So these are all horizontal sizes. I could make some other sizes for signs as well. In addition, the Gerlach GID authorized the transfer of just under $24,000. That's money remaining in our Department of Energy Energizing Rural Communities Prize to go to the Community Foundation to launch this fund. However, because Gerlach is now out on your own, the GID is fundraising with Gerlach seniors. This transfer may not be necessary. So I'm going to hold on to that and we can discuss well, I'm just going to leave it where it is in its account. And we can discuss how we want to move forward with that funding in the future. Fingers crossed, we won't even need it because we will raise so much money in this crowdsource campaign from people passing through town in the next couple weeks. That's most of it. I would like to know how you want me to communicate with you and if there is anyone in the meeting or in town who wants to help me finalize a sign or 3 or 5 to get them printed. If anyone's coming to town and wants to take them back up, I would be happy to have that conversation. And that's all I have for the moment.
Wonderful. Do we have questions or comments from the board? Christy.
Hi, Brian, Christy Evans. So when you say printing signs, what format can these take? Is it an outdoor sign? Is it just a piece of paper? What are we talking about?
I was gonna go to FedEx and see what they have. But I picture in my head it's like one of those campaign electioneering politician signs that you see in people's yards. It's that corrugated plastic material we can print, or it's a foam core, which is a similar thing. We could probably also print on a paper, although I don't know how weather resistant that would be. But I'm assuming that they have something available, but honestly, I haven't asked them yet. But I'm happy to go in as early as tomorrow to have that conversation with them. I just wanted to get your approval first.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean that my email was about a banner because I think I can put that and secure it better. I don't know what the cost of that kind of thing is, but I mean, the folks coming through town, they got a lot on their mind. So we need something big and eye-catching so that we can capture their attention. So, big and eye-catching costs more money. But anyway, that was my kind of curiosity of, so once you maybe go talk to FedEx, I would love to hear more. I'm happy to support. And I guess we can all figure out amongst us if someone's going in sooner. The kind of masses, as it were, not the major masses, but the bigger, chunk of people start coming on Monday. So
This coming Monday.
this coming Monday. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So the artist's coming early.
So the theme camps and artists start coming early, and Burning Man issues a fair number of early arrival passes. So it's a pretty big chunk of people that come in next week. And then, of course, there's the main entry as well. But sooner is better.
Okay, I'm happy to coordinate with folks to get you signs as quickly as possible. And if I don't know if people have, walking on their minds, but I've heard rumors of long lines of traffic associated with this event, and I understand that within Black Rock City, there may be concern about selling, although this would be donating, but I don't even want to. I'm not trying to upset any expectations, but outside of the city, if people are in line, to have a few people walking along with signs and encourage donations. If you have any student volunteers, any people doing public service, or anyone who just has time on their mind or on their hands and steps they need to fill that day, this could be a fun way to have conversations with people.
Yeah, it's a hard one. I mean, I regularly think about dressing up as a big orange cone and jumping in the roadway to get them to slow down, but I do suspect the sheriffs would probably not love it if I did that. So every year I really go through this thing. I don't know. I think sorry for that non sequitur. I do think that probably having signs up in the major locations, at the local businesses, maybe the Empire Store, maybe the gas station. Obviously, you got to get permission from each of those folks, but really capturing them where they're already going to be stopping. Because if they don't want to stop, then they're motoring through. But if we can get them where they stop, I think that would probably be. That's my thoughts anyway.
Louise?
Here for the record. Yeah, I agree with you, Christy. But also too with just buyer psychology, at point of sale is the most accurate place that someone's going to do something. So I think, yeah, putting them directly at registers, at gas pumps, at the post office, you already have my approval. Just send me the flyer. I'll put them there. I think is really where it's at. I think a banner would be great if people are stuck in line, but also given like realistic timelines, I don't think that that's money well spent, where you could just get a decent size little thing made and have it everywhere that people approve it, especially like in the business around the point of sale point where someone comes to buy some ice and they can pull out a phone and or scan a QR code or whatever and just, oh my God, yeah, I'll give them $1. Totally. Because that is a fair point. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you. I appreciate that comment.
I'm with Christy on the banner because there's a long line at pizza. And if they're standing around in a long line, it's just a piece of paper by the cash register, though. These people are bored and eating pizza. Get your banner, lady. Any hoots, if you need somebody to drive in and get them, I can do that up until about Wednesday of next week, because after that, they get a little more reckless on the road.
And again, I'll be coming up on Thursday, or is it Friday? I think it's Friday next week. So if you
Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. So if you can hop around Monday and they're ready on Tuesday, I'll see you Tuesday, Brian.
Okay, I will coordinate with all of you, and I think I have cell numbers for Christy and Shotzi and Russell for sure. Mr. Garcia, it's a pleasure to meet you virtually. Look forward to doing so in person.
Likewise, and you can grab my number from any one of those individuals as well.
Okay, if that's it for board comments, we have some feverish hand waving in the audience. Which of you was first? Tino. That fly actually has been following me around all day. So I
Tina,
brought him with
Tina Walters for the record. Thank you, Shotzi, for offering to run and go get. I was just going to say, Brian, mailing them, UPSing them in.
If that's possible, I don't. It's certainly a possibility. If we decide to do that, we could. And
if no one can drive in, just plan on shipping them so we get them as quick as possible.
I hear and will obey. Thank you.
Margie, I think you were next. You might want to switch mics.
Hi, Marjorie Reynolds. Hi, Brian. I'm coming through on Monday and would be happy to pick up what you have. Just kind of, I do a lot of canvassing for different things around town. And I think if we could get maybe at least a dozen 1117s, I can get them up in the gas station, Empire Store, get them in the windows. I also think there's power of repetition. So I wouldn't mind trying out some of those real estate type signs. We could probably get them in a few homes, properties on Main Street so that people can kind of see this over and over. And then, of course, the banner is a great idea. And whatever you have on Monday, I'm happy to pick up. I'll be coming through Reno probably around 11 a.m.
I will add you to the list and we can coordinate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more public comment?
Thank you, Brian.
Carl?
Carl Kopek for the record. I'll just use my booming voice. Let's not forget the internet, Reddit, Facebook, which I'm not on, never will be, but I'll shoot something to Reddit unless you want to compose something professional omnibus for the various Nevada, Gerlach, and Burning Man sites. Groups would be most interested in this message. Thank you.
Thank you. And that actually brings up one question. I'm not sure if Gerlach Seniors or the GID have an Instagram account, but GoFundMe has lots of auto-generated, like, here, we'll help you post here, we'll help you post there, we'll help you post on this platform, make a video, we'll put it up. And so, you know, happy to invest. Once we build those platforms, then they're mousetraps and they should work well to attract donations.
Wonderful. Any more questions or comments? No? Great. Well, thanks for coming out, Brian. I look forward to hearing from you.
I appreciate all of you. Thank you very much.
Okay, next we have number 8, Neighborhood Development Hub and other engagement opportunities. I believe that's you, Candy.
Good evening, everyone. Candy Ramos for the record. Thank you for allowing me to be here today. I'm going to share my screen so that you can see the Neighborhood Development Hub, but maybe more importantly, how we get there. So this is washoecounty.gov's homepage. I've typed in neighborhood developer meeting into this little search bar here. I think that's the easiest way to find your way there instead of trying to navigate through all of these different things. Once you look for neighborhood developer meetings, you'll see the neighborhood meetings pop up. This gives you some information about different boards and commissions, business licensees, code enforcement. But this is really what we're talking about today, which is the neighborhood developer meeting schedule. I've pre-looked. There's nothing coming up in the Gerlach community, but we do like to show this every month so that you are empowered to go in here proactively if you want to take a peek. You'll see this BlackRock Rentals. This is like the map-based one. But if you go over here and I click on BlackRock Rentals, this shows you that the meeting actually has already taken place. It was on April 22nd. So this is an old meeting. We keep these up for a while. There's a short description of what the project is about, who the person is, who's the developer, the parcel number, the district it's in, and then here's meeting information over here. You can submit feedback. So this still has the opportunity to submit feedback. And this is really what the neighborhood develop meeting schedule is like. One thing I like about this is at the very bottom, you can see you can sign up to receive things. So you can put, that's my Hotmail account. I still have a Hotmail, my washoecounty.gov account, and I can sign up. You all are in District 5, but some people like to really know what's going on throughout the entire community. You put your email address here, you subscribe, and you would then receive neighborhood developer meeting communications. So the only ones that Washoe County has coming up are both in District 3. So that's pretty straightforward. Does anyone have any questions about the neighborhood developer meeting?
No, I don't see any.
Everyone's so small.
Thank you very much. Next is a report on requests for service from previous CAB meetings, and it says that I will provide a report. I believe you sent me an email today, Candy, that I have not read because I've been out of the office all day.
That's okay. I can pull it up. It will be easily shared, but My internet's running a bit slow today, but let me pull them up very quickly so that I can read them out. And this will also be posted in additional materials on the Washoe County webpage. So let me share my screen again. So you should be able to see my screen. This goes over, there was a request for clarification on how hotel or entertainment tax revenues were collected in Gerlach and how those are distributed. We received some information from the Reno Sparks Convention and Visitors Authority, or the RSCVA. There's not great information available. It outlines some rules relating to tax and the distribution by district. The RSCVA is the organization who is responsible for collecting these fees and distributing them. And speaking with our chief financial officer, she said that the county doesn't have any oversight over this program. And so it's recommended that if people have particular questions about this, that they contact the RSCVA directly, and they might be able to help answer some of those questions. But what we found was not very helpful, I will be honest. There was also a question about the Gerlach area of responsibility map. It didn't look really accessible. We went to look on our WORMS page, WRMS, and it looks like everything is working correctly. So if there's additional questions on this, please reach out to us, but everything seemed to be working correctly. And that was all that was from the last meeting.
Well, fantastic. Thank you for the update. Do we have any comments from the board about that? No. We have a question from Christy.
Yeah. Hi, Candy. Christy Evans. So am I understanding that hotel and occupancy tax text that you just put up, that the R, whatever those letters are, I can never remember it.
RSCVA.
They set the policy and they collect it and they remit it to the county, so the county does receive the money. I'm sorry, I'm confused.
I don't know. I will be
Okay.
completely honest with you. I asked our chief financial officer. She was like, we don't oversee this program. So I frankly don't even know, like, when they receive money, does the county itself get these? I believe that the fees, and I might be speaking completely wrong, I believe that those fees that are received at hotels are then used to promote through tourism coming to the Reno Tahoe at large area. But for really specific information, you would need to connect with the Reno Sparks Convention and Visitors Authority.
Copy. So the county isn't able to say, or we don't know amongst us here, that the county has actually received some of that money. We're not really sure.
I am not sure.
Right. Copy.
And when I
Okay.
spoke with the CFO, she was like, they need to ask the RSCVA.
Interesting. Okay.
I know.
Oh, we have a question. Any more board questions or comments? No? We have a question from the audience.
I know a little bit about the RSCVA funding, Reno Sparks Visitors and Convention Authority, which is also known as the tax on tourism. Those dollars typically go back into marketing. And I was told years ago at one of the Travel Nevada conferences that we actually are eligible for RSCVA funds, but we have to have something that's going to bring heads and beds and kind of perpetuate the that tax. It's got to be something that's related to filling hotel rooms here. But I do believe that we are eligible for money. We are in Washoe County, and those funds, we are included in that. At least we were under Chris Baum, I think that was his name, maybe 10 or 12 years ago. So it probably hasn't changed too much.
Thank you. Any more questions or comments? No? All right. Thank you very much, Candy. Next, we have commissioner and board member items. I would like to announce that if you haven't heard, I found a treasure trove of old documents a few weeks ago, and this summer is the 50th anniversary of the GIA buying this town from the railroad. And it's too late to plan anything because it's already August, but I think we should have some sort of celebratory series of festivals, a spring festival or something early next year. So if you're the kind of person who's interested in planning this kind of thing, you should coordinate with me. I think we should do everything we do here in Gerlach, and we do a lot of fun stuff out here. Haunted West Halloween. I love it. Carl, did you have something?
About we rebrand our chili cook-off as the 50th anniversary of the town of purchase chili cook-off. Holy Christmas, we own the place.
That's a great idea. Well, this is the type of the part of the agenda where we just announce new items. So I don't think we're agendized to discuss this now. But if you'd like to talk to me about it after the meeting, I'd be happy to hear your ideas. We'll put together a committee, and we'll have a great time. Are there any other board member items? Luis?
Louis Garcia for the record. Yeah, I have an announcement from the postal side of things of town. So after many, many months of arguing with the Department of State, they have decided to decline our application for full passport services at our post office, unfortunately. They deemed that there wasn't a need in the area based off of what I consider an arbitrary metric, but that's my own opinion. However, even though they just denied for us to have these services, I'm still going to be offering photo services. So at least at bare minimum, there will be photo services for those interested in passport services and just guidance and application. I can help you basically fill out the application without, I can't sign it. Let's just put it that way. They didn't give us an agent ID, unfortunately. But yeah, so just an update from the post office on that. And that's all. Thank you.
Wonderful. Any other board member items? No? Okay, wonderful. That brings us to general public comment. Do we have any general public comment to close our meeting? No, it looks like we've all feel like we've been here long enough. In that case, I'll hear a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Again.
Bye-bye. It's hot.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, everyone, for being here. Make sure you sign in on our sign-in sheet
That is.
so we can count humans.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Candy,
Thank you,
and
guys.
everyone.
Thanks, Candy. Enjoy an evening.
Thank you all online.
Bye. See you later. Bye, Tina.